Mic is all set up, and I have to do my laundry. So we're gonna talk about all the albums that have come out this year that I've listened to, because this year my goal was to listen to 50 albums in 2026. 50 albums that had come out in 2026. I have officially reached that goal. And I'm not going to stop. I'm going to try to reach 100 by the end of the year. I definitely will reach 100 by the end of the year. This year in total, I've listened to like 102 albums I just never heard before. That includes ones from 2026 and ones released prior. And last year, I think I listened to 30 something albums, and the video that I put out at the end of the year was like an hour long. So this is my way of making a video this year without having to make a 2-hour video. So I guess this is gonna be a 2-part series. We're right in the middle of 2026. Here are all the albums that I've listened to so far this year. That way, by the end of the year, the video is less bloated. Maybe I over-explained that, but I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. It's really fucking hot in my room. If you know the typical format of this series, I typically do good albums, great albums, my disappointing albums, and then my best albums. But since it's the middle of the year and we've still got a lot of listening to do, I'm just gonna go through the 52 albums that I've listened to this year in the order from worst to best. So starting with the worst albums that I've heard this year, the worst is Luck or Something by Hilary Duff. It's not that it's a bad album, it's just not good. The lyrics are kind of the focus of this album, but if that's the case, then the lyrics need to be spectacular. And I don't believe we ever get to a point in this album where the lyrics are spectacular. I find that she occasionally rests on shock value for her lyrics in a sort of way that's gimmicky and doesn't add to the art. I'm sure this was a great experience for people who are nostalgic for her music, but as a kid, I didn't really listen to Hilary Duff. I was kind of into artists like her at the time, but I wasn't into Hilary Duff herself. I could never really get behind her. She was sort of almost too pop for me, which is surprising because I'm a huge pop music fan. But it's kind of the same reason I've never really been able to get into Dua Lipa. Like, there's a level of pop that I can't meet you at. The best thing I can say about this album is that she is pretty vulnerable. It's just that we don't ever really have peaks. We don't have highs or lows. We really just have lows. The production isn't anything fantastic or spectacular. The lyrics are very lackluster to me. My favorite songs were Mature, Adult Size Medium, and I guess The Optimist. I think I relate to The Optimist a lot, which is why I like it, but I've written songs about that subject that I feel like, and maybe it's just because I wrote them, but they hit deeper, and I don't feel like The Optimist is the deepest song on the album, which is unfortunate. And then my least favorites, pretty much all the rest of the tracks. At number 51, we have Piss in the Wind by Joji. So this is my first full Joji project, and I'm gonna have to give him another chance with one of his other projects because he's very well regarded, and I didn't understand it from this album. I've liked a lot of songs I've heard from him in the past. Maybe they're singles, maybe they're just the ones that went viral, I don't know. This album felt so half-baked. It felt like the ideas never really came to life. The best songs on the project are the ones that experiment with rage and hyperpop, like Pixelated Kisses and Sojourn. But the other songs, like, they were dreamy. They just didn't have any direction. It felt uninspired. Like, it's just a sound that he has and it never really goes anywhere. I almost wish that this full album was like a rage album. That's the other thing about this album, is it kind of has an identity crisis. Like, it doesn't know what it wants to be. It doesn't know if it's dissociative or dreamy, or if it's upbeat, or if it's manic. Like, it's really, I can applaud him on the moody aspects of the album, but it's just not, I didn't really care for it. My favorite part was honestly the Giveon feature, which is, you know, I love anything that Giveon does, so that doesn't really say much. My favorites were Past Won't Leave My Bed, Can't See Shit in the Club, and Piece of You. The rest of the album was my least faves. Number 50, Love, Love, Love by Steven Sanchez. This album was embarrassingly surface level. Now, if you're gonna do a nostalgic, dated sound like he does, you better do it well, and you better give it a twist that makes it feel modern, because songs of this genre exist already. So if you're gonna bring it back 80 years later, you're gonna have to do something way spectacular with it. Yeah, unfortunately this album was just not good. Him being marketed as like a yearning male pop star is funny to me because I yearn. And I've yearned in levels that would combust this man. It's love songs that people could have written for their significant other in middle school, in my opinion. This is not to say that he's a bad artist. It's just to say that this album was not a strong album, did not have very good songwriting, was not interesting sonically. My favorites were Love, Love, Love and Already Got Me. Those songs actually were pretty beautiful, and I added those to my Best of 2026 playlist. And then everything else was my least favorite. Number 49, and it breaks my heart to say this because this is one of my most anticipated albums of the year. Everyone for 10 Minutes by Bleachers. If you've been on this channel a while, if you've been a friend of mine, if you know me at all, you know that Jack Antonoff is my favorite producer. Anything that Jack Antonoff does, I am up his ass about it. He's like the second coming of Christ in producer form. I think he is a genius. Like he's up there with Max Martin for me, and this album just... It was disappointing. It was disappointing to hear this album. I don't even think it's a bad album. I think this sound is just so not for me. And like, I don't usually get bored listening to music. Like even with like Hilary Duff and Steven Sanchez and stuff, like I was able to find entertainment at least listening to the album. Not to harp on those albums too much. Like I don't want to make it seem like I'm hating on these artists or these albums or whatever. I'm just giving my opinion as someone who like does music and has studied music and like just an enjoyer of music in general. It's not to say that any of these albums are bad. I could not for the life of me get interested in this album. I tried so hard. Like I had my listening cap on and I was like paying attention and just, I don't care about this sound. I'm sorry. This is like his third album in this more like nostalgic, soulful, rock and roll, Springsteen worship type sound. And I love that he's found joy in that. Clearly it's like influenced him a lot. It feels good for him. It comes naturally to him. But for me, it's just not, it's not for me. And the thing is, I do love Bruce Springsteen. I do love rock and roll, but I don't like Jack's take on it, unfortunately. My favorites were The Van, Upstairs at L's, and We Should Talk. And my flops were pretty much the rest of the album. I don't know if it's gonna grow on me. I've listened to it 3 times now and it hasn't grown on me at all. So maybe one day I'm gonna understand it. I always say like whenever an artist falls madly in love, I stop liking them, and that's kind of history repeating itself here. Jack is very in love and I'm very happy for him. He has an amazing wife. It's just like, I can't relate. And I don't like the sound. So there's really nothing for me here. Number 48, Lock It by Madison Beer. I want to take a step back for a second and remind everyone that you're not A&R team. You're not her marketing director. You're not her manager. So stop telling her what she needs to do with her career. With that said, this album doesn't know what it wants to be. And I think part of it is because Madison doesn't know who she is as an artist, I suppose. And my take on that, she is very versatile. Like she's got an amazing voice. She's got a great team of producers behind her. She has access to a lot of great songwriters. So like this album had the potential to be really strong, and it does start off strong, but the energy just dies halfway through. You listen to these tracks and you're admiring how beautiful it is, but there's no clear concept or direction. With there being like instrumental interludes, it does suggest there would be, and there's just not. You can't follow this album, if that makes sense, through the songs. It almost feels like you're listening to the album on shuffle when you play it straight through. I would have rearranged the track list. I would have maybe cut some of the tracks, specifically Make You Mine. Make You Mine came out so long ago at this point now that I'm like, with the rest of this album, it doesn't make sense sonically. Like this dance pop track does not make sense with these like R&B synth pop ballads that are all over the album. Like why put Make You Mine on the album, but then not 15 minutes? If you were gonna go in that dance pop direction, which was really successful for her, she could have followed through on this album, but instead chose to do like her version of Eternal Sunshine. And it's great that she has a lot of Ariana influence. I don't knock her for that, because it's kind of like a meme now, but like every pop star has like a mother, a pop mother. You know, like for Olivia that would have been Taylor, or for Chappell Roan that would have been Lady Gaga. If Madison is an Ariana daughter, she has the talent, she has the songwriting capabilities, but she needs to hone in on what she wants to do with her music, because the dance pop was great. Why she put one of those tracks on this album but didn't follow through with the rest, I don't understand. I'm talking way more about Madison Beer than I want to. I want to help her. I think she's talented. I just wish that this album was better. So my favorites were Angel Wings, Bad Enough, and You're Still Everything, and I won't accept the You're Still Everything hate. Y'all don't understand it. It's beautiful. My flops were Complexity and Bittersweet. just got so dark in here. Number 47, Casino by Baby Keem. Now we do like a massive leap here because there's no like, I didn't really put a whole lot of mid albums in my rankings this year. So this album is just like slightly above mid. So Casino by Baby Keem. This album was hyped up to me so much. And then I listened to it and I was like, it's not bad. Do I think it's as great as some of y'all are saying? No. I don't believe that Baby Keem reinvented anything on this album or did anything particularly special, but the tracks aren't bad. Like, I don't think that anything on this album is necessarily bad. There's not a whole lot of replay value for me because it's just not that innovative or interesting. You know, I like when he's vulnerable. I mean, the production is just like good. Like the production's good, but it's not like great. It's not unique. Like I really don't have words for this album just because it's so like okay. Like it's just not bad. That's all I really have to say about it. My favorites were Sex Appeal, Dramatic Girl, and No Blame. And my flop was Good Flirts. Did not like that one. Number 46, I Used to Go to This Bar by Joyce Manor. This is again another album that's like all right. It's a good listen and it's pretty short. So if you're like going through it for the first time, you can get through it pretty quickly. I'd say this is more of an album that you throw on in the background of something, like you're like this, like doing laundry. Like you can just throw this on while you're doing laundry, or like you're hanging out with friends, you're in the car. Like it's a casual album. It's not anything super unique. I absolutely hate the country inspired elements of this album, but when they lean more like emo rock, math rock, I can really get into it. And I think that's just me in general. I don't typically gravitate towards country music, although there is a high rated country album on this list. I'm such a pop, rock, metal, hip hop, R&B person, and country gets really pushed to the wayside. What's that underscores lyric? Pop, rock, electronic, rap, rock and roll. That is me. Those are my favorites. Add R&B in there and you got my favorites. So yeah, whenever they do like the country thing on this album, I'm just like, please don't want to hear that. And then my favorites are Well Whatever It Was, All My Friends Are So Depressed, and my flop was The Possum. Is it The Possum or The Opossum? There's no way of knowing. Can we take a second to just appreciate my buccal fat removal surgery going so well? I don't fucking know. If we can back up 2 seconds. Before Casino, I would like to say Emotional Version by Emmeline. I forgot to mention this album. Emotional Version was one of the albums that I was like, it's good, not great. And the thing is, it's not that the album itself is good, not great. It is that some of the songs are so well done, and then the rest are like corny, badly produced, badly written, and I don't like them. I won't be listening to them again, but then the songs that stand out really stand out. So this is a very confusing listen because you can't tell if she's talented or not. No. I think what the problem is here is she is talented. She's got the skills. It's that it feels like she's writing to trend. And that is one of my biggest pet peeves in an artist, is whenever you can tell that they're chasing a hit. The hit will come whenever you are the most authentic to yourself. So a lot of the lyrics stand out like that. Like, have y'all seen those videos of people being like, you know, like artists that are just trying to make like new TikTok audios? It's like the song like transitions into a speaking part randomly where it's like, I can't believe he did that to you. And then the beat drops. Like that's kind of what this album gives. So I'd say like this album is overall generic with a few standouts. But not a lot of lyrical highs, not a lot of production highs. I don't feel like I know who the artist is just by listening to this album, which is a big problem for me. Like at least a lot of these albums have a clear identity. This one does not. It doesn't even sound like the artist has much of an identity through this album. And I've listened to some Emmeline before and she has like way more conviction, I guess, in her music than she did in this entire album. So my favorites were Choose Your Fighter, Famous, and Crying Selfies. And then my flops were Porn Star, Vintage Girl, Dance With My Demons, and Emotional Virgin. That's a lot. But I didn't say the rest of the album. Okay, jumping back up, we've got number 45, Don't Be Dumb by A$AP Rocky. This album is actually pretty good. Like, I don't think it's bad in any way. I've listened to it several times. I really enjoy it. Like, I do enjoy this album. There's quite a bit of variety in the sound, which I really appreciate. I love when an artist gets, like, experimental, try a lot of different things. I really appreciate what he does on this album. My only critique is that once you hit a certain point in the album, it starts to feel repetitive. It does take away some of the replay value of this album because like there's several standouts, but then you get to a point and you're like, okay, I'm kind of hearing recycled beats. And this album is long. So whenever you do a long hip hop album or just a long album in general, you got to make sure that there's plenty of variety so that it doesn't sound like you're saying different things over the an instrumental that you've used previously. My favorites are Robbery, Helicopter, and Stole Ya Flow. And off the deluxe version, Flaquito Jody is one of my favorites. And then my flop is Playa. I really didn't like Playa. I couldn't get behind Playa, but it is what it is. This is a great return to music. Like, he sounds super confident, and I really appreciated what Aesop offered on this album. I consider this a successful return to music for him. Number 44, I believe. Don't Look Out the Window by BGK. This is a small artist that I want to do for my Small Artist of the Week series that I do on Instagram and YouTube, and that's been a very lucrative series for me and other small artists. So one of my rules is that whenever there's a small artist, I don't give them much critique because I don't want to turn potential listeners off because I have critiques for their music. And that's not to say that I think this album is bad, because in no way do I think this album is bad. It's very anti-AI, it's anti-capitalist. I really appreciate this album. I think this album is super unique. It has a lot of replay value. Yes, I have critiques, but I have critiques for any album. One thing is for sure, no one else could make this album but this artist, and I think that's something that every artist should strive for. And that's what I appreciate so much about BGK's music, is it's so them. Like, no one else could do what they do. Number 43, Question Mark by Bass Victim. I've been really on my emo shit this year. I've really loved like Witch House and emo electronica and emo rock, math rock. This album is super different, but I really, really love it. My favorites would probably be Sometimes I Believe in God, Going Home, and I guess Home Wake Up, Going Home, and Home. But I also like The Dogs of War. Yeah, there's a lot of really, I don't know how to pronounce this. I'm just gonna put the title up because I don't know how to pronounce it, I'm so sorry. Which is like, that's most of the track list. And there's really not a flop except for maybe Dirge. I don't think that Dirge is even bad. Like, I don't ever skip Dirge. It's just probably my least favorite on the album. So yeah, I like it. It's just, it's not something that I come back to often, so I put it lower on my ranking. Number 42, Getting Up to No Good by Artemis. I honestly should have ranked this lower if I'm being honest. Going through this, I realized how fucking tired I am of modern albums being glorified EPs. All the tracks on this are way too short to get invested in, and the second you think you're gonna start to be interested in a track, it ends. And the production is decent, but it's nothing unique. In fact, I felt like I was listening to The Weeknd album a lot. I'm going through this album literally thinking that Abel could have written a single one of these songs. And like, I do love Abel, I love his voice. It's just that we have The Weeknd. We don't need another Weeknd. Yeah, this just really misses the mark for me. Like, the lyrics could have been thrown away. I guess the vocals were about all that's interesting, but then again, it didn't feel unique to me, so I don't know. This album relies heavily on the production to carry. Yeah, just nothing really stands out on this to me. I kind of like How You Just Know How Beautiful You Are and Time Alone With You. And then my biggest flop was Myself. So again, this is higher because I don't feel like it's bad, but it's so like derivative and not unique, not interesting, and I felt like you could have done away with most of the elements of this album. Nothing in your life would change. Number 41, Sugar by Baby Nova. This is an artist we need to keep our eye on. She is getting much bigger. I do see her rising quite a bit in the alternative sad girl game. This is her debut album and I'm pretty impressed with it. You can tell that there's a lot of Lana inspiration. I wouldn't say that's a bad thing because like a ton of artists I love draw from Lana, Saint Evangeline, and you know, like bigger artists too, like Billie Eilish. So I wouldn't say that it's a bad thing to draw on Lana. I think the issue with this is it relies so heavily on that aesthetic and that sound. I mean, there's songs in here that literally remind me of like unreleased Lana music. So if I have one critique for her, it would to lean into what makes her unique more, because this is a good album. Like, this is a very replayable album. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite albums that's come out this year, but it certainly has a lot of replay value for me. Like, I do go back to it often. I've been hoping that she'll press it on vinyl or something because I think it's a good album. It just really reminds me of early Lana Del Rey, so I want to see her find her own sound. And this is an artist where I feel like she's almost too diverse in her branding, where, you know, Lana has a lot of different eras and we think of her as a lot of different things throughout her career. Baby Nova's kind of all of those at once in this album. So even though sometimes the tracks are really well done individually, altogether as an album, does it make sense? Jury's out on that one. My favorites are Broke Bitch Boogie, Hot Honey, and Do You Like That Baby? Hot Honey is one of my favorite songs that's come out this year. So beautiful. My flops are Wonder Bread Winner. I think that one's pretty big for her. I didn't personally care for it. At number 40, we've got No Lube So Rude by Peaches. Peaches is a fucking legend. Like, we're not about to sit here and debate whether or not Peaches deserves to be well regarded or praised. I think that a lot of haters just don't get her. Do I necessarily know how to rank this album? Not really, but I enjoy it. It has a lot of replay value for me. Also, I listened to it during Pride Month, so I think the people that don't get this don't get queercore. They don't get electroclash. And Peaches also draws a lot from the Riot Girl movement, so some people describe her as distasteful. I think that she's just punk, you know? My favorites, Panic Cotta Delight, let's see, Not in Your Mouth, None of Your Business, Ooh, Take It, You're Alright, and Grip. There's actually several really good tracks on this. I don't have anything bad to say necessarily. I think people who don't get Peaches shouldn't be reviewing this album because it's not for them. Number 39, Reverie by Lolo Zoe. Is it Zoe or Zoe? Tell me how to pronounce it in the comments. I'm probably saying it wrong. When I ranked this on Echo, I was a little aggressive. I think I called it Makeout Music for Virgins. That's not nice. That's not nice of me to say. Don't think this album is bad. I think it's good. That's why it's ranked higher. It's just that there's not a whole lot of standouts. Like, nothing is super unique to me. Don't necessarily like the flashback to Desert Rose towards the end of the album, the Desert Rose Part 2, because Desert Rose is her most popular song from a different project that came out years ago, like years and years ago. So it's weird to kind of do a callback in a way that relies so heavily on it. I don't know. It feels forced, and I've been seeing people say that's their favorite track on the project. I think that's because it's familiar, like that it relies heavily on that sample of her most popular song. Is it the best song on the album? No. But did you know it before you went into the album? Yeah, so you probably liked it because of that. But I could just be critiquing too heavily. My favorites were Angel Give Them Hell, Lemon Squeeze, and this is a French title, I don't speak French.
Hiver j'espère,
I think is how you pronounce it. Now my flops were
Si j'avais des ailes
and Le Mot. It's not that I hate the French songs, it's just that I didn't like those songs specifically. She actually speaks quite a bit of foreign language on this album, so I think that's pretty impressive. Like, again, I don't think this is a bad album. I'm critiquing it a lot, but I did enjoy it, and I do occasionally go back to it. Not as much as my other albums, but I do go back to this one. But number 38, Prize Fighter by Mumford & Sons. Mumford & Sons is gonna Mumford & Sons. Like, they've got their sound, and that's what you're gonna get from them. And it's a good sound. Like, it's a good sound. It's enjoyable. I like folk music. Folk music enjoyers like Mumford & Sons. It's just that this is kind of how I feel about Cigarettes After Sex. Once you've heard one Mumford & Sons song, you've heard all of them. Again, I like Mumford & Sons. I like Cigarettes After Sex. I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, their sound is not super diverse. You've kind of heard them all once you've heard the first track on this album. Which, like, it feels formulaic, but it's cohesive. Like, this album is just enjoyable to listen to. This is another, like, throw it on in the background of something. It's also packed with features, and usually I hate features, but somehow, like, well, it's not that I hate features, it's that I hate whenever an album is, like, filled with features. But this album doesn't feel like any of them are unnecessary. Like, it almost feels like they were written for these artists. So I'm not mad at the features on this project. Like, even some of the songs, I was like, why didn't you get a feature on this song? Like, why didn't you get Bon Iver or Ed Sheeran on this song? Like, they would have sounded great. Is Aaron Dessner on this project at all? Because there were a couple moments where I was like, I could hear him on this. And, like, I've been saying we need more honest and heartfelt music in 2026, so they delivered on that. Is it super different for them? No, but it's not bad. It's not a bad album. Number 37, For the First Time Again by Tyler Ballgame. This is a decent enough folk album. I kind of have a difficult time getting into his voice. He's just a sound that I don't care for. It's kind of the sound that I, like, grew up listening to in Texas. So again, this isn't bad. Like, his talent is undeniable. He's a very impressive vocalist a lot of times on this album, and a great songwriter. So there's really, like, nothing I can complain about other than, like, personally for me, I just can't get into his vocals. And that's not a bad thing, because that's not a critique against him, that's a critique against me. Yeah, overall, this is a really great album, and it deserves a lot of the praise that it's getting. I think that the songwriting is where he really stands out. Number 36, Porcelain by Peach PRC. Now, I've never heard of this artist, but apparently she has a lot of lore. I don't have time to get into all that. Don't know all the lore, don't know who she is, but I love this album. I don't know if it makes the good or the great category. It's leaning more towards great. I think this album is really good. I like it less with every listen, but that's not her fault. Like, that's on me. It's super dreamy and unique, but it's still, like, very intense pop music. It's so well produced, especially for a smaller artist. And she's got, like, a very clear identity identity, even though like her lyrics are kind of all over the place. I really would love to hear more from her in the future. Like I'm definitely a fan now, but I don't know if I would say I'm a fan, but I'm super interested to see where she goes from here, because this was really well done. Like whenever I first listened to it, I was like, AOTY contender. Like this is album of the year material. And then on more listens, I was like, I overreacted. I was like, let me take a step back and calm down. But like, it's a great project. Like it truly is. Like, if you don't go listen to anything else from this video today, I highly recommend you go listen to this if you're a pop music fan. My favorites were Piper, Back to You, and The Palace. And my flop was Miss Erotica, which is crazy because you would think that knowing me, I would love Miss Erotica. I don't like the lyrics. I don't like the melody of Miss Erotica. And it directly contrasts with The Palace. But honestly, I've been there as someone who performs in nightclubs and who's like come up in the nightlife. I kind of get both sides. Like, I think it's a valid critique to say these are two contrasting songs, but I think that's kind of the duality of being a performer, is like you've got The Palace and you've got Miss Erotica. You can be both. Number 35, Detour by Kim Petras. I know it's ranked high, but I have a lot of critiques here. I can't go through all of the critiques. Like, I can't just like rip this album apart, especially because it's Pride Month, bitch. I'm not gonna rip Kim Petras apart in Pride Month. First of all, very happy that she is out of her label. Very happy that she's doing what she wants. This album, the lyrics are bad. If I could, I almost want to pull up some of the lyrics and show them to you right now. This is the beginning of the end. Everything before is just pretend. You're such a fucking hypocrite. I think I don't know you love this shit. Speakers, 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 speakers up. Drove him to the cliff so I could jump. Don't you know the free fall's what I want? All my sick bitches to the front. The bridge isn't the worst part of that song. It's honestly the first verse. And the first verse kicks off the entire album, so it's like, oh god. But the production goes so undeniably hard. The production on this album is just insane. It's so good. Kim has always had like a clear vision for her sound, I feel like. While being diverse and switching between like bubblegum and hyperpop a lot, I've always felt like she really shines in the hyperpop sphere. Like, I Like Your Look also has the lyrics that are just so terrible, but then it reminds me of like 2012 Katy Perry, and I'm like so locked into that. DTLA has been on repeat. Like, DTLA is one where I'm like, the lyrics don't need to be good, but the lyrics aren't even that bad in that song. Like, the lyrics are actually like serviceable for that genre. The songs where it's more production focused, I feel like it really shines. But then whenever she has like vulnerability, the production gets really weak. So songs like Brutalist and Basketball, I just don't care for, because like those would be my flops. It's just the production takes a huge step down to allow the lyrics to shine, but then the lyrics don't shine. Like, the lyrics aren't good. But then like, way DTLA, running over bitches like GTA. DTLA is so catchy. Like, the lyrics aren't that good. It doesn't matter though. The DTLA is so good. DTLA is not even my favorite song. DTLA, Need for Speed, and 101 were my favorites. And 101 is like one of my favorites that's come out this year. I also love Freak It. The production was just insane on this album. So good. I had to rank it lower because the lyrics like really make me cringe. And then like the vulnerable songs are like big skips, and that's a red flag to me, is whenever, because my number one thing in albums is like, how vulnerable does someone get? If they get really vulnerable and I don't like it, you fucked up. Number 34, I might mispronounce this, Maitreya Corso by Maya Hawke. Not great, not terrible, it's just good. Like, it's music that's perfectly not bad. The lyrics are good, the production is good. I understand this to be a concept album, and in that case, I think it's well done. It's beautifully written. It's a very enjoyable listen, but again, this is another one that I'm like, you're just supposed to casually throw this on. There's no need for it to be a concept album whenever it's not particularly spectacular. I just imagine you throwing this on in the background when you're with people, like in the background of like a dinner or cards or something, or like a chill hangout. My favorites were Last Thoughts on Morning Star, Bring Home My Man, and Terms of Estrangement, and my flop was Lioness. Although I didn't dislike Lioness, it was just, you know, it's probably a skip for me. 33, this is probably gonna change by the end of the year because every time I listen to it, I like this album more, but 33, Kiss All the Time Disco Occasionally by Harry Styles. Now, I'm gonna describe this in a way that doesn't make sense. Just to warn you guys now, this album is lying to you about who it is. And I don't mean the album title. Like, yes, the album title is a lie. It's Kiss sometimes, Kiss used to, Kiss in the future, Kiss now maybe, but not Kiss all the time. And disco, never. We don't ever get a disco song on this album. That's fine. The first line of this album title is a sentence. You could have ended it there. Why'd you add disco occasionally if it's never disco? You could have done like Baroque occasionally or dance occasionally. Like disco occasionally doesn't make sense. But I really love this album. Like it's so melancholy. I think judging on Aperture being the lead single, we weren't expecting a melancholy album from Harry. I had to turn the light on, it's getting really dark in here. Going into it now, listening with the context of the rest of the album, Aperture is melancholy and reflective, and this whole album is very reflective, and that's so beautiful. I may be glazing it, but I honestly think that the atmosphere and the mood is so clear, and it's very apparent what he's trying to do, and he executes it very well. We could have maybe spent a little bit more time coming up with more ideas. At that point, art is art, let it go. Art is art, just release it. And that's what he did, I think. It's been what, 4 years since Harry's House? So I think this was a great next step for him in his career. I'm just gonna say, like, with this album, if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. It's very beautiful. My favorites were Paint by Numbers, Season 2 Weight Loss, and Coming Up Roses, and my flop was Carla's song. But that song has kind of grown on me, so I don't know. Taste Back used to also be a flop for me, and that song's also really grown on me. Number 32. Halo by Tiffany Day. Y'all glaze Tiffany Day, okay? And rightfully so. She's a great artist. I wish I liked this project more. To me, it's just great. It's not the perfection that everyone has been saying it is. I think it's great. I think it has a lot of replay value, and I'm going back more now because at the time that I listened to it, I wasn't comprehending it, and so now I'm re-listening to it and I'm like, oh, it's getting better, it's growing on me. The issue here is it's so maximalist, hyperpop, and electronica that they all start to blur into each other a little bit. She has a sound, like she has her vision, it's just that they all start to bleed into each other at a certain point for me personally. So like I love maximalist music. I mean, I'm a huge metal fan, and I've always said that there's so much crossover between pop and metal. I think that whenever you reach this type of maximalism in hyperpop, you have to have something that differentiates it, because with this 4 on the floor, heavy sawtooth synths type style of hers, once we lose what makes it unique, it just becomes one big long song. So the lyricism and the vocals are the standout to this album. For me, it's very beautiful. I don't even have a flop on this album. I don't think that there's a bad song. My favorites are Do It For Me, No Luck, and Break Up. Number 32. Number 31, Come Closer by Tomora. Tomora is a collab between Tom Rowland of Chemical Brothers and Aurora. How are you going to blend heavy electronic music with fairy pop? Somehow, absolutely beautifully. This album is incredible. My favorites were Come Closer. My favorites were Have You Seen Me Dance Alone, I Drink the Light, and Wavelengths. And there's several other standouts for me. I don't really have a flop on this album. Sorry, I have the hiccups. Beautiful vocals, great production, like truly great production. And yeah, I love to replay this one. It's very danceable. Now the next one, number 30. I put this at number 30, but it's not necessarily where I ranked it. It's just where I wanted to shout it out, because I have this rule where if I know someone, if someone's my friend, or if I've worked with them, I don't rank them. I just shout out their music. Tiffany Johnson, a small artist that I've done for Small Artists of the Week, who I've had the opportunity to work with several times. She's a super sweet person. She's a super talented songwriter, and she released her debut album this year called The Temptress. This is just great fucking pop music. My favorite song is called Is This How It Ends? I've done my Small Artist of the Week video on her, so you can, check it out if you want to learn more about her music. This album is amazing, so highly recommend it. Again, this isn't necessarily where I rank this album, but this is me wanting to tell you, like, go listen to this album. It's great pop music. All right, number 29, Sports by Sports. Super groovy album. Like, I sent this to my stepdad Brian, he got into it. I think this is a super danceable album. Is it particularly special? Not necessarily, but there's really not a bad song on this project. You can just have so much fun listening to it. They do start to meld together a little bit, not be super distinguishable, kind of like how Cigarettes After Sex is, but like without all the reverb. This has a lot of replay value, but in the way of like, this is an album that you can just have fun to. It doesn't necessarily need to be like, your life isn't changed after listening to this album, but you do have a lot of fun. You have a new album in your catalog that you can just throw on whenever you need a good time. They're funky, they're fun, they're dancey. My favorite is Jelly. I also love If You Want Me, Keep Falling in Love, and Stay Mad. Also, I Can't Cry is so beautiful. I love I Can't Cry. But yeah, my favorite would be Jelly. Here's another 29, I think this is. 28. Now this is, again, I don't necessarily rank this album at 28. I just want you to know about it. This is Fun Employed. Nope, this is Networking by Fun Employed. This is another small artist of the week, and he's so good at what he does. Again, this album is fun, but it's also like a social commentary on capitalism. It's an anti-AI album, and I very much, if you market your music to me as being anti-AI, I'm going to listen, and there's a good chance I'm gonna rank it high. I've been listening to this one a lot more because he's just so experimental and sleazy. And I say sleazy, but it's not necessarily sleazy. Like, this is just his music. He's like bold and outwardly experimental and fun. And there's such a deep layer of sarcasm in the music that you just have to appreciate it for what it is. So if you haven't already, go check out Fun Employed and his debut album called Networking. Number 27, Middle of Nowhere by Casey Musgraves. I don't expect her to ever top Golden Hour or Deeper Well for me, but this is such a good, well done album. You know, she's reflective, but this album shows her returning to her sense of humor that she had on her first couple albums, which I was missing in Deeper Well. Star-Crossed, like, she got a little too serious for my liking. So the fact that she's going back to that kind of campy, tongue-in-cheek type songwriting, I really appreciated that. Occasionally it can draw back from the album though, because it's like the reflective tracks do have a little bit of camp. I think this is specifically targeted towards Horses and Divorces, which is a super fun, what's the word for whenever people make up? I don't know, but for her and Miranda Lambert to make up and come out with a song together, I feel like it could have had a little bit more vulnerability and a little bit more like commentary on that relationship and what that was like. But you know, just the fact that they made a song together and it was super fun was amazing. My favorite songs are Loneliest Girl, Mexico Honey, and Hell on Me, and my flop was Back on the Wagon. Fun fact, I was talking to a boy, and this boy, it will forever make me mad how things ended with him. It won't forever make me mad. I'm already over it. But whenever I think back about the situation I was in whenever this album came out, oh my God. I got hit by a car listening to this album. It totaled my car. It totaled my car. Here's the image. I am now very in debt over that. I was not at fault in the accident, but now I have. Y'all don't care about my finances. Anyway, the craziest thing is I was listening to I Believe in Ghosts, and then I got hit. And you know what that boy did? He ghosted me. He didn't just ghost me, he stood me up on a scheduled date. But maybe it's my fault, because that was the third time he stood me up on a date. It was the last time though. He got blocked. Should it have taken 3 tries for me to learn that? Probably not. Oh my God, I let this boy have a year of my life. I let him have a year of my yearning. He's getting songs released about him, but he's not gonna know. He's not gonna know these songs are about him, but they're great songs, so whatever. That's all he provided to my life. Anyway, moving on. 26, Paracosm by Absolutely. Didn't know that this was Ray's sister. I literally just listened to this album randomly. And it's a strong project. It lets you know who the artist is. The vocals are absolutely amazing. Is everyone in Ray's family just insanely talented? I just know like living room concerts were crazy for them as a kid. Their parents were blessed with some living room concerts. So this album tells you exactly who the artist is, and I think a lot of artists struggle with that, but she's got it. She knows exactly who she is. And the production is super creative. There's a lot of energy behind it. The songwriting is really well done. Sometimes it's a little outdated or bland, but I think that's more just my opinion than an objective fact, because this has grown on me with more and more listens. My favorites are Simple Things, Prototype, Painting by Numbers, and my flops are Helium and Goodbye Glitter. Number 25, Running with Scissors by Cavetown. Now this is my first actual Cavetown project. I've heard songs by Cavetown in the past, but I've never listened to a full project, and so whenever I listened to this one, I was pretty impressed, but I was surprised. This wasn't the sound I expected from him, because in the past I thought he did more of like the sad boy, quirky, cute type thing. This was a bit more angsty, a bit more rock focused. It even, like, dare I say, had elements of like, it was like acoustic rage. I don't want anybody to hate on me for saying that, but like if you listen to this, it kind of feels like rage music without being rage music. My favorites on this project were Straight Through My Head, Tarmac, and Running with Scissors. It's a really well done project. Do I go back to it often? Not really, but every time I listen to it, I have a really good time. It's a maximalist, it's a very energetic listen all the way through, and whenever you need that, it's great for that. Number 24, Nothing's About to Happen to Me by Mitski. Now this was a disappointing album for me, but I still ranked it high because that's a testament to Mitski's talent. If I was disappointed by a Mitski album and it was still in the great category. My favorites were If I Leave, Dead Women, and maybe Lightning. No flops on this this one. Well, actually, that white cat is kind of a flop for me. I usually skip that one. But it's kind of camp, no? I don't know. I still skip it. This was kind of a different direction for her. Like, this was a bit more mellow than her past projects, but in a lot of ways also just like a different aesthetic, I feel like. I don't know. Let me know what y'all think of this album, because I'm very confused by it. And I think that's part of the reason why it's disappointing for me, but I still like love it. I still love listening to this. If I'm gonna throw in a Mitski album, this is probably gonna be my last resort. Number 23, The Romantic by Bruno Mars. Now, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. This is a sound he's done before. It's not new for him. It's not unique for him. That's what Bruno Mars does, is this sound. And he does it so well. Why would he switch it up? This is beautiful. Yeah, I don't care that the lyrics are surface level. This is what Bruno Mars does. Bruno Mars is so talented, and maybe I'm just glazing him because I love Bruno Mars. I love the Latin-inspired elements of this album. Like, yeah, I do love Risk It All. I do love Cha Cha Cha. Bruno Mars is still being heartfelt. How many men do you know in music still being super heartfelt like this? Don't say Steven Sanchez. Don't say Steven Sanchez to me right now. Don't piss me off. But yeah, On My Soul is my favorite. On My Soul is so beautiful. Nothing Left and Dance With Me are all so gorgeous. I don't have a flop on this album. 22, Petal Rock Black by Willow. This album was her casually showing off her talent. In the past, I feel like she's been very bold and outward about her talent, and this one is a little bit more like, I felt like she curled up a little shell and was like, I'm just gonna do my talent from here. Willow's always been very experimental, very inspired by different cultures, and I think that's very apparent through this album. My only critique of this album would be that everything is so short. I wish that she gave you a little bit more time to get into everything, because this album is like less than half an hour long, and that's kind of wild considering the track listing. And Willow is so talented. Willow is amazingly talented. So give us the longer tracks. I even like that she starts the next song for like a minute at the end of the last song. I think that's so cool. My favorites were Holy Mystery, Not a Fantasy, and Ear to the Cocoon. And I don't have any flops. 21, The Nightlife by Honey Dijon. Happy Pride, y'all. I don't have like a review of this. It's just great ballroom, club music. And I love gay people. I love gay people. I love house music. I love dance. I love ballroom. I love Vogue. My like drag aesthetic was so inspired by these performers that this album is kind of centered around, as well as like the punk genderfuckery and transness of the ballroom community. This being a tribute to dance music through a queer lens was so well done. Love you, Honey Dijon. Thank you for this album. Number 20, Sexistential by Robin. I'm convinced that the bad reviews on this were all from straight people. Gay people don't dislike this album. In fact, this album was made for gay people. I feel like all of Robin's music is really made for gay people, so if straight people are reviewing it, I think your opinion's automatically invalid because this isn't for you. I saw so many critiques on the title track being like, it makes no sense. What was that? We don't know what she's saying. We don't know what the sound of that is. So that I have to say, you're too heterosexual to understand. Because I want to go out, wear something nice. That shit is sexistential. Can I play that? Adam Driver always did kinda give me a boner. People be like, the beat doesn't make sense, the lyrics don't make sense. It's not supposed to. You don't get it. You don't get it because you're not gay. That's all I have to say about that. Super overhated. Sonically, it's very well done, super cohesive. Super cohesive without sounding out of place. She's a bit experimental and I love that. Again, my critique would be it's too short. She had 8 years for a new album and we get 9 tracks under 30 minutes. Under 30 minutes. You had 8 years to come up with an album and all you have to say for it is 30 minutes. Right. And even though it's synth pop, she finds a way to be vulnerable and very vulnerable. I just said that twice. She finds a way to be vulnerable and very honest, and that's always appreciated, especially in pop music. My favorites were Really Real, Talk to Me, and Sexistential, and my least favorite, my flop is Sucker for Love, but that's honestly changing because I love Sucker for Love. 19, Dancing on the Wall by Muna. I'm gonna say it again. Happy Pride Month. All I really have to say is the vocals are great, the songwriting's great, and the production is great. Well done, Muna. My favorites are East Side Girls, On Call, and Big Stick, and I don't have any flops, and I'm not going to. If you don't like this album, you're homophobic. Now, I wouldn't say that like being gay is a prerequisite to enjoying this album. I think it helps, but this is the type of euphoric pop production that I've been like craving in pop music and rock music and alternative as well. They do this euphoric sound so well. And I haven't listened to another full Muna project. I've listened to a lot of their stuff, but I haven't listened to a full project. So this being my first full project by Muna, this was very enjoyable, very well done from them. Number 18, Wired by Basement. Welcome back to music, babes. This was amazing. Again, never listened to a full project from them. This is my first full project, so all I have to compare to it is what I've heard before, which was not much. And this has like a 90s feel to it that, again, I feel like that's been lacking in modern music. You know, it's not the 90s, so I understand why. This 90s feeling to it, this like grungy sort of alt rock energy, I really appreciated it. It was really well done. Like, sometimes it's a bit generic, but that's the sound that they're going for. Like, that's the specific genre era that they're going for, and so they're paying tribute to it really well. My favorites are Headlight, Deadweight, and Longshot. And my only flop on this album was Wired. Number 17, Wuthering Heights by Charlie XCX. I wasn't expecting to like this as much as I do. Charlie rarely disappoints, and this is so gorgeous. Like, this was such a gorgeous album. Again, my critique would be like listening to the album straight through. Sometimes I wondered if I was listening to the same track or if I had repeated a track, because the sound is so cohesive that it ends up being too cohesive. And then I'm like, I'm still on track 1 and I'm on track 9. So, although track 1 is one of my standouts from last year, and it's one of my standouts from this year too. So, like, I really do be in my room staring at the ceiling going, I think I'm gonna die in this house. This apartment that my lease expires on in like 4 months. I think I'm gonna die in this house. My favorites are Always Everywhere. Always Everywhere is so beautiful. Chains of Love and House. And you know what? I like Funny Mouth too. Funny Mouth is really good. 16. This is an AOTY contender, Fluorescence by Maisie Peters. I've loved Maisie's past albums, and it seems like she just gets better with every one. I don't know how this compares to The Good Witch, because The Good Witch, in my opinion, is a like perfect pop album. Like, that's one of my pop bibles. But for what it's worth, this album is amazing. The songwriting is so incredible, and that's because she has her formula. And I would love to see her stray from that formula a little bit, but it works for this album. Especially with her stepping away from pop music a little bit and going a little bit more folk and country, like stripping back a lot of that and like just being like, this is how it feels to be in love right now. This is what it feels like to go back to my roots. It reminds me of her early music, like pre You Signed Up for This. And I love that because that's one of my favorite eras of Maisie. My favorites are Audrey Hepburn, Flat Earther, If You Let Me, and Questions. I mean, Questions is gonna go viral. I'm waiting for it to happen. Questions is gonna go viral. And my flop is Girls Just Flying. That's the only one that I don't really care for, but it's not a bad song. I do like it. Number 15, Singing by Gia Margaret. Another AOTY contender. Again, the sound is not too diverse, but it reminds me of like 90s and early 2000s ballad, alternative acoustic pop albums. So I don't think it needs to be super diverse. You get really lost in it. You really get involved in the sound. And also finding out that she had not sung for years before this due to a vocal injury, and this is her return to singing, tears every time I listen to it now. It's beautiful. Everything feels so intentional. I think that's because she had to make instrumental music for a long time. She had no other choice. Everything is so intricate, and you can tell that she paid attention to the little details in the songs. My favorites are Phenomenon, Ambient for Ichiko, and Phone Screen, and I don't have a single flop. Number 14, Worst Girl in America by Slater. This is gonna move up in my ranking. I'm already waiting on it. Like, I feel like it already is too low. When I first listened to it, I was like, this is good, but I don't think it's as good as everyone's saying it is. And the more I listen to it, I'm like, no, this shit is really good. I do think that the track listing could have been adjusted because the energy fluctuates a lot, and it can be a little bit abrasive, I feel like. So one instance I think of specifically is Yes God into Unknown Lovers. I don't like that transition. I feel like the energy is so high on Yes God. It would have benefited from probably maybe Old Flings even being up there, or What Is It Like to Be Liked. Like, one of those songs moved up, or Saint Loser even would have been. I would have adjusted the track listing there because the energy like switches very quickly. And Interlude being the second to last track, don't know how I feel about that. But when my critiques are with the track listing and not the tracks, good sign, because I don't think there's a bad track on this. There's not a flop for me. I love Dance, Beat Up Chanel's, Cannibalism, Crank. Everybody loves Crank, and I love Crank too. I'm no exception. But my song is Gas Station. No one gets Gas Station like I do. Have I even been through anything like that? No, I haven't been through anything like what she talks about in Gas Station. And then Yes God doing like electronic metal. Love her for that. Love you for that, Slater. Thank you. Yes God. I listen to that song every single day. Number 13, Empty Hands by Poppy. I haven't listened to as much metal as I think I have this year. I have a lot of metal albums that are on my list to listen to that have come out this year. I mean, Vince Staples, not metal. Vince Staples isn't metal, but like there's a lot of albums that I haven't listened to yet. So like Vince Staples' album just came out like last week whenever I'm filming this video, and I haven't had the chance to listen to it yet. So I'm very excited to listen to that. I'm very excited to listen to Love Is Not Enough by Converge. Like there's a lot of albums that I still haven't heard yet. So looking forward to getting through those as we go through the year. I think Olivia Rodrigo's album is coming out next week. But anyway, Empty Hands by Poppy. What Poppy excels at is reinvention. She takes her past and is constantly flipping it on its head. And I know that we all kind of thought that this was meant to expand on negative spaces, but the more... Oh my God, I saw my reflection in my window combined with headlights passing by, and I thought someone was walking by my window. This album is so much more its own thing than Negative Spaces, even though it's still Jordan Fish. And that's been my critique with a lot of stuff that Jordan Fish works on, not just with Poppy, but with other artists. Jordan Fish has a tendency to do so much Jordan Fish on a song that the artist's creativity kind of gets pushed to the side. And it's there, but the Jordan Fish is right in front of you, which is, you know, it is what it is at that point. Clearly the metal artists are really loving Jordan Fish's sound right now, and I also love Jordan Fish's sound. Like I love Bring Me the Horizon, so I can't even complain. Poppy's still in there. Poppy's still, in fact, I feel like this is more Poppy than Negative Spaces was. And so while I like Negative Spaces more than Empty Hands, I still think that this is truly Poppy. She's more pissed than ever. Her vocals, her screams sound the best that they ever have. I would like Poppy to not shy away from technique because I want her to preserve her voice. I understand what she's saying about not wanting to learn technique and wanting to be punk about it, and I think like I've always admired that. That's what we all love about Poppy, but we want her to perform forever. We want longer set lists. We want more songs to be performed and performable. So like we already lost Empty Hands on the set list. I don't want to lose anything else. I don't want to lose The Centers Falling Out. My favorites are Dying to Forget, The Wait, and Eat the Hate, and I don't have any flops on this album. Number 12, You by Underscores. This grew on me a lot. I didn't like it when I first listened to it, and then the more listens I got, I'm a huge Underscores fan now. I've gone back and listened to all of her projects. I think she is so talented. And this is so different from her past projects. Like, she really leaned into the electronic production here. And so Do It might be my song of the year. Do It might be my song of the year for sure. The Piece, Innuendo is another contender for Song of the Year for me. Music, I mean, all of these songs are just amazing. She's so unique. What I've been looking for this year in music is artists who are unique and weird and don't do something that's expected. And that's this entire album. She speaks to being married to the music, which I've always related to. She speaks about feeling fetishized instead of desired, and I've also always related to that, just as someone who identifies outside of the gender spectrum and participates in gender performance. And I feel like there's people who are like into me for what I represent, and then there's people who are like actually into me, but I've never found like the people, or at least the people who are like into me, they either become my friends or they don't stick around. So the people who fetishize me though, can't escape them. They're always gonna be there. I have this lyric from a song that's coming out, and I don't want anyone to take this lyric, which is why the song is copyrighted. Like, the song is like legally copyrighted. It's my song. And I'm sure someone else has said this before, but the lyric is, I don't chase, I attract, and I attract all the chasers. That's been my entire life, is just attracting the chasers. Well, not even my entire life. Like, once I stopped presenting masc and I started presenting myself more feminine and then more non-binary and then feminine, because gender's a forever changing thing for me. But yeah, like, it ended up like now I attract people who are like, please get in drag for me. I don't want to get in drag for you. I don't do drag for sex. I don't do drag for other people. I do drag for me. Anyway, she just has a song where she's like, I feel fetishized and not wanted. So like, should we have sex? Maybe. But I want to feel like a real person whenever we do it. I'm like, real. Please? Number 11. O by Fuckers. I didn't pronounce a single thing right. How do you pronounce O? It's like, if it was a face, it would be, but it's not. It's O. The album is short. It's less than 30 minutes and it has 11 songs on it, which is impressive. But honestly, I feel like it didn't need to be longer. Maybe it could have been, but I don't feel like it needed to be longer because the sound is so cohesive. If it was any longer, it probably would have felt repetitive. So I think they stopped it right whenever they should have. There are a lot of high points in the album. It's definitely meant for partying. It's very, danceable, and I like it. I really like this album. Like, it's not super deep, but it's a great party album. Like, it's great dance music. It's very well done, very well made. This was one of my most anticipated albums of the year, and it did not disappoint whenever it came out. And I think it came out, I don't know, in March maybe? My favorites are Beat Back, Lucky, and If You Want a Party, Come Over to My House, and I don't have a flop. Number 10, AOTY contender called Cruel World by Holly Humberstone. God, this was so beautiful, and I don't have much to say about it other than the songwriting, the vocals, the production all meld so well together. This is how you do the Lana-inspired thing right, because she made it her own, and I don't have a flop. My favorite is Die Happy. My other favorites are To Love Somebody, Red Cherry, or Red Chevy, and probably Blue Dream. I mean, there's just so many beautiful songs on this. Like, I can't pick a favorite. And that's why it's an AOTY contender. So if it is at the end of this year, AOTY, I don't want to say too much now because I want to talk more about it at the end of this year. Number 9, This Music May Contain Hope by Ray. Another AOTY contender. Whenever I first liked it, there were a few skips, but the more I listened to it, the more I understood it. It's a beautiful exploration of the dark times in adulthood where we feel like we want to give up, where life feels like too much. It's a beautiful exploration of going through that and coming out the other side better. Fields, Click Clack Symphony, and Winter Woman are my favorite songs, but there's not a skip. There's not a single flop on this album. I love all of them. And again, we will be talking about this album again next year, so I'm not gonna say too much now. If you've ever struggled with mental illness, mental health, I think that you should go listen to this album and really sink yourself into the healing process through it, because it's so well done. Number 8, The Fall Off by J. Cole. I've been listening to this nonstop. One of my absolute favorites. He's vulnerable, but he's still witty. He really went into this and he said, I want to show off my range, my talent, my storytelling. And even though like it's kind of hard to re-listen to it because it's like 24 songs. Like this is a long project. This is like the length of a movie. So I could go to the AMC or I could listen to The Fall Off by J. Cole. And sometimes I choose to go to the AMC, but whenever I choose The Fall Off by J. Cole, I'm not disappointed at all. This is an incredible project. And each time I listen to it, it's more enjoyable than the last. Number 7, what's it called? The Apple Tree Under the Sea by Hemlock Springs. I repositioned y'all because I'm done with my laundry now. Apple Tree Under the Sea by Hemlock Springs. She's always been so unique, but the production here is so well done. It's literally perfection. Like the production could not have been better if she tried. Her vocals are super quirky and her lyricism matches it. And thematically, like you can follow the album and it's super consistent. It doesn't feel random. It doesn't feel gimmicky. This feels authentically her. I miss people being weird in pop music, and so the fact that she is a weird girl, she's an alt girl in pop music, I'm so into this. My favorites are Be the Girl, Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Ankles, and Sense Is. And I don't really think that I have a flop on this album. Number 6, The Great Divide by Noah Kahan. First things first, why isn't Lighthouse on the standard edition? I want that song on vinyl immediately. So whenever the deluxe edition presses, I will be buying the vinyl. Until then, where's Lighthouse on the vinyl? If it never happens, I'll still buy the vinyl, but it can feel uninspired. I want to get my critiques out of the way before I talk about how good it is. It can feel uninspired because this is folk music and there's only so much you can do with the genre. So like we keep getting a 4 on the floor kick drum and it's like, right. It's like, okay, what else do you have? That being said, this album is produced by Aaron Dessner, so it's beautiful. It's atmospheric, it's melodic and catchy, it's spacey. Aaron Dessner has a way of like, he doesn't make a track for the vocalist, he makes a track for the world of the album. Where like, I didn't even know that this was produced by Aaron Dessner. I was just listening to it and I go, he's on this project. I just know he is. And then I checked the credits and I was like, yeah, that's 100% Aaron Dessner's production. So captivating about this album is it feels like you're in the room with him. Like it's so vulnerable and personal that it feels like you're literally talking to him. Like you're a friend of his having a beer with him and he's telling you these stories. It's rare whenever I listen to music and I'm like, I feel lucky to have heard this, and I do feel lucky to have heard this. My favorites are End of August, The Great Divide, and We Go Way Back. And then obviously Lighthouse and Orbiter. Still upset that those were not on the standard version. Number 5, AOTY contender, Fig by Naomi Scott. Now, it took me a while to register that this Naomi Scott was the same Naomi Scott that I had grown up watching on Lemonade Mouth. She's an actress. I didn't know that this was the same Naomi Scott. But yeah, in my opinion, this album is perfection. Like this album is 80s to 2000s synth pop and R&B, and it's executed perfectly in my opinion. Like there's no skips. The songwriting is amazing. The production is amazing. It's dreamy and emotional and sexy and heartfelt. And yeah, every time I listen to this, I'm like, why even try making pop music if you're not gonna make it this good? I'm always shocked to see what other people's reviews on these albums are, because like being on Echo and like looking at this stuff, people are rating tracks like below a 5, below a 6, and I'm like, every song on here for me would be above an 8. My favorite is Best Kind, but I also love Bliss, I love Cherry, Sweet Nausea, Gracie, and I don't have a single flop. Number 4, Sanctuary by Evanescence. This is another AOTY contender. I used to say that we haven't had a good Evanescence album since 2005. I think that The Open Door was kind of their magnum opus. I mean, like, Fallen, I guess, would be their magnum opus, but The Open Door, in my opinion, was just a little bit better than Fallen. I consider those two, like, toss-ups as to which one is their best, because they're both amazing albums. The albums that they'd come out with after that, just like they weren't bad. Like I wouldn't say, well, I didn't like Self-Titled. I don't like Evanescence's Self-Titled album. I can't get into that one. The Bitter Truth is good. It's not great. And then Synthesis is beautiful, but it's not like a real album. So yeah, just in general, I thought that the Open Door was going to be their last good album, and I'm a huge Evanescence fan, so that was fine by me. But now that we have Sanctuary, this is the best they've sounded in the last 20 years. Again, Jordan Fish is on here, and so you can really hear some Jordan Fish on here, but I wouldn't say it ever takes away from Evanescence's creativity. Like, I feel like it's still very much the Evanescence sound. And How Do I Heal? I sobbed so hard the first time I heard it, and then Forever Without You. This is like a return to their original sound, but revamped, and so modern and so well done. And then my other favorite would be Rapture, and I don't have a flop, because every single time I listen to this album I start to like it more. And it was already high to begin with, so the fact that I'm liking it more with every listen, impressive. Number 3, Death in the Business of Wailing by C Rose. It took me a while to process this project, but from the first listen I knew that I would love it and that it's beautiful. I really don't have any critiques for this album, because like, it's absolutely so well done. Definitely an AOTY contender. It's super emotional, so I won't talk about it too much now, because I want to talk about it more at the end of the year. My favorites are Junie, Kill What You Eat, and In Violet. And then I don't have a flop on this album. It's absolutely so well done and so beautiful. A beautiful blend of folk and indie and rock and shoegaze. Absolutely love this project. At number 2, honestly, I mean, technically number 1, because we'll get into number 1 in a second, but number 2, Good Excuses for Laziness by Nectarine Girl. This is another small artist of the week, but this is genuinely like probably my album of the year. We'll see how the rest of the albums that come out this year treat us, but this blew my expectations out of the water. And it was only January, and I was like, this is it. Like, I don't need to hear anything else this year. I have my album of the year. The instrumental tracks are so perfectly placed to break up the album, and it's entirely self-produced. So impressive. Songwriting is beautiful, the vocals are beautiful, it's shoegazy, and it's rock, and it's folky, it's indie. I don't have words for how beautiful this album is, so I'd like to talk about it deeper at the end of the year. And then at number 1, this is an EP, but I don't ever get to talk about EPs in these videos. So, Fleeting by Sarah Kinsley. Yeah, it's 5 tracks. Yeah, it's 5 tracks, but I've never related to 5 tracks more in my entire life. In fact, this would be a perfect... I want to say it would be a perfect 10. It wouldn't. I rated it a 9.3. But that's like a really high score for me. Like, I don't ever give above a 9 unless you're an album that like truly changed my world. This EP changed my world. So I wanted to talk about it. I really needed there to be a space for me to talk about this EP. I feel enamored, represented, heartbroken, and I'm a longtime fan of hers. I believe that this is the best she's ever sounded. Even on her debut album, her last release, I didn't feel like she sounded as strong as she does here. Like, this EP to me is flawless. The yearning, the production, the vocals, the harmonies that she adds, especially the harmonies with her and Paris Paloma. There's a moment where they're harmonizing on each other in After All, where it's the chorus where, after all, or whatever. Let me play it. Okay, my camera ran out of storage. Anyway, on After All. Love is not enough after all. Love is just a man I used. that harmony, after all, or whatever Paris is singing up there. Oh my God, that scratches the perfect, oh, I just like ripped out my nose piercing. It scratches the perfect itch in my brain. So yeah, there's not a single skip on this project. Every single thing about this EP is perfection to me, and I won't be accepting anything otherwise. And then we don't get to talk about it at the end of the year because it's technically not an album, so I wanted to talk about it now. That way you know how I feel about this project. It's my favorite thing that I've heard this year. With that being said, thank you guys so much for listening and watching wherever you guys are. If you like this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share. I just released my newest single called I Need Him Now. It's a dance pop Pride Month banger. I'm supposed to be coming out with a music video for it soon, so keep an eye out for that. I'm very excited about it, and I'm very excited about this EP that I have coming out. The announcement is coming soon for that. Very big things coming from me this year. I'm like finding so much fulfillment in what I'm doing right now, and people seem to be really connecting with it and enjoying it, and I thank you guys for that. To everyone who's been listening, to everyone who's been sharing my music, it truly does mean the world to me, because what I'd like to be doing for the rest of my life is music. So every person who streams and adds it to their playlists and shares it with other people is someone who's making my dream come true. So not to be weird, not to be all sappy and stuff about it, and if you're a Madison Beer fan looking to get into my music, I'm sorry for what I said about Madison Beer a second ago, but I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, all the YouTube things, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.